It's day 7, and after a quick breakfast, packing up a frosty tent, and packing the bags, we're off to our next campground at Talus Lake. And Talus Lake is home to Tombstone Mountain and Mount Monolith as well. So this campsite has some of the most dramatic peaks in the park and some of the best photo opportunities. So we're pretty excited to get there and set up shop so we can start looking around for some new areas that we haven't seen before. Anyway, this spot is worth the hike. Talus Lake is the only campsite in the backcountry with a helicopter pad. You get used to the sound of coming and going helicopters bringing people into the park. Every time I visited the park, I've considered flying in, eventually deciding on hiking instead. And inevitably, every time I see the first helicopter, I wonder what would it take to convince them to fly in some hot food. We got so excited about this experience that we were actually really late getting out to take photos. In fact, I didn't take a lot of video for the rest of the day. I did, however, manage to capture an image of Mount Monolith, a mountain I've wanted to photograph over this creek for several years now. With a belly full of pizza and another image captured, I was ready for a good night's sleep once again. But as had been the case several times before, there's often no sleep to be had on clear nights in Tombstone. We were greeted by an excellent aurora display and largely gave up on sleep. Dean and I went in different directions to photograph this showing, and after taking this image, I got the urge to head back out to the creek from earlier to try and capture my first image of Tombstone Mountain from this year. In my excitement to capture this image, I forgot how long the hike was, and also forgot to tell Dean where I was going. After capturing the image, I returned to the tent at about 3 a.m. to find Dean preparing to come look for me. Sorry, Dean. As much as we would have loved to sleep in after a late night photographing aurora, we were able to drag ourselves out of the tent in time for sunrise over camp. We didn't come here for sleep, after all. Needless to say, the rest of the day was a bit of a grind. Scouting is an important process. The last thing you want in landscape photography is to find great conditions and be unsure of where to go. On the suggestion from fellow photographers, we decided to have a look at this river valley for future reference. We immediately knew we'd be back here really soon. And it certainly didn't hurt to pass so many blueberry patches along the way. Well, we're getting on to sunset for tonight, and I think we might take it pretty simple. Might look to shoot this gigantic peak behind me here. Nice and easy, really close to the campsite. And the light looks good, at least for a little while longer, so we'll see if we can make it work. Fingers crossed. There are a few things I like more than wonderful golden light. Having visited this mountain many times, I was very happy to finally leave here with an image that I liked. But while this was a nice and easy image for the evening, the next morning would be truly special. Okay, so I've gotten very lucky this morning. We got up to come down to this river to take a picture of Tombstone with the fall colors and a nice leading line leading up to it, but it's been completely clear skies for the last day or so. And it was completely clear this morning as well, which, I mean, we were okay with because we know that Tombstone's going to light up if it's clear. But just as Tombstone lit up, clouds started rolling in from behind the mountain, creating a much more dynamic scene. Giving me something like this. From day 9. So the last few days have been pretty busy. We've been able to get a lot of photos around Talus Lake and Divide Lake. In fact, I kind of hesitate to say it, but our luck certainly seemed to get a lot better after we crossed the ridge into the North Klondike Valley. Haven't taken a lot of video over the last little while. Been spending a lot of time hiking around, looking for other places to photograph, and kind of bouncing between going out to shoot, getting ready to shoot, sleeping, and eating, as seems to be the case usually on these kinds of trips. However, we were able to meet a number of interesting other photographers who are also in the area. You know, this campground seems to change pretty quickly simply because so many people are flying in on a daily basis to come and take a look. In fact, there was a wedding that came here yesterday, or a bride and groom to do their wedding photos in the park, which was pretty incredible. But we've got the campsite effectively to ourselves right now, Dean and I, and we're trying to take a little bit of downtime and just relaxing a little bit as we decide where we think we want to photograph tonight and try to make sure that we have enough energy tomorrow, because tomorrow we have to hike all the way back to Grizzly Lake, which is most of the hiking that we did. Well, it'll be more than most of the hiking that we did over the last few days, so it's going to be work. But looking forward to it. I think we're both ready for a hot shower and some real food, but nevertheless, there's still photos to be had, and we're still looking. So fingers crossed that we find some more. I mean, we've already done well. We've already seen aurora. We've seen great conditions on the mountains, great light. But I guess we're just being greedy. Hopefully we get a bit more, and we'll see how it plays out. I didn't know it at the time, but the rest of this day would be a wild ride of changing weather and frantic photography, starting with passing rain clouds, creating some incredible light beams. But it didn't end there. Well, we went on a bit of a journey today. The conditions continued to change rapidly throughout the day, from just sitting in the camp to walking around the area to out taking pictures. And the sky just opened up, and I'm still kind of speechless from it, frankly. The lake beside camp was absolutely crystal clear, allowed for perfect reflections with just these unbelievable clouds rolling over Tombstone Mountain, which just transitioned into some incredible hot red and pink clouds. I did my best with what I had, and without any planning or preparation, I think we came away with a few really interesting images. But We will see. But I think I can conclusively say that today has been by far the most interesting day I have ever spent at this location. And I am extremely excited to see how the images turn out from today. If it worked out, I'll show it to you now. Enjoy. I'm a firm believer that changing weather often brings the most interesting conditions for photography. But sometimes the weather's changing to become nicer, and sometimes it's changing to become worse. This evening would fall into the latter category. We woke through the night to a windstorm nearly collapsing our tent. With what little sleep we were able to get, it was time to turn and head back to the car. Less than ideal hiking conditions today. Alright, getting close to the hill now. And preparing to go up it. Probably my least favorite part of this hike, but I feel pretty good and hopefully we can get up it quick. If we're fast enough, we might actually think about hiking out today and get some delicious hamburgers, but we'll see how we go. But this is where we have to go. You see the trail, and then right up there in the saddle. That's where we gotta get. I like to think we've made some progress here. We're up on a ridge, taking a little bit of a break. I think we're probably close to halfway up. I'm not sure, but I know the hardest part is yet to come, but still feel pretty good. With any luck, we'll be up shortly and not get too cold on our break here. It's completely socked in, so you can't really see too much, but very atmospheric nevertheless. Almost home, almost done. Good morning from day 11. We got to the top of the pass yesterday, but we frankly just did not have enough gas to get down to the parking lot from up there. Legs were too shaky, and frankly I wasn't able to record much at the top of the pass, unfortunately, simply because as soon as we got to the top, it started snowing, the temperature dropped real fast, and I started getting real cold. So the focus was staying as dry as possible and getting down to the bottom of the hill. So once we got here, we set up camp, had dinner, and it just rained all day and all night and created quite a mess. And actually it looks like since we've woken up, the higher peaks have gotten quite a bit of snow. So yeah, it could be an interesting hike out to the car today, depending on how much snow actually hit the hike that we'll be taking to get back to the parking lot. But yeah, onward to Dawson City and then down to Kluane after, of course, a big greasy meal. Thankfully, we didn't encounter any snow on the hike out, but we did have plenty of rain and fog to ensure our hike ended as it started. The higher ridges were mostly covered in cloud, creating a really eerie hiking environment. It's always a bit unnerving when the visibility drops and the ground almost seems to drift into the abyss in all directions. Despite the spooky feeling, I couldn't help but feel incredible thankfulness for the experience I'd had this year in Tombstone. Leaving this place is always bittersweet. I never think of a hike as being done until my belly is full, and this was a great way to cap off the hike. Normally I'd end the story here, however this day was not quite over. We had one more quick adventure planned before it was time to call it a night. There's something really special about aerial photography. Seeing the landscape from an airplane can give you a really unique perspective. Our flight took us over some of the mining remnants near Dawson City before passing over the Yukon River. Before long, our flight had brought us back to where we started the day. One last opportunity to see Tombstone before moving on. Our time in Tombstone's backcountry was over, but the experience was one I'll never forget. 7 days of backcountry camping, over 46 kilometers on foot, one flight tour, 23 photographs, an airborne pizza, wild blueberries, and light to die for. I'm really not sure I could have asked for more. As a landscape photographer, it's not lost on me that I've been extremely fortunate to visit places like this and capture images of special moments. Looking back at the images and video from trips like this really does help me to feel grateful. I sincerely hope that watching this video and the ones before it inspired you to seek out your own adventure, whatever that may be. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to join me next time where Dean and I head south for a truly unique experience in Kluane National Park's backcountry. Thanks for watching.